But just to let you know a little bit about me, my name is Jennifer McAlpine. I'm what we call a marketing technology director. I work through WFG, which is a title underwriter, in an agency division called MyHome. It's just a separate part of the company. And we work with title agents and I work with real estate agents as well. My background is I've been in here in this role for close to 2 years. But before that, I actually came from Compass Real Estate. I worked out of the Northern California division, and I was their head of marketing for that division, which actually had about over 3,000 agents and 50 employees. And then I was also concurrently their head of marketing operations. I actually, before that, came into real estate in a wonderful way, working for a boutique brokerage called Alon Pinnell out of Silicon Valley. And they had the philosophy of, yes, we might be selling luxury homes for the most part, but we are committed to giving our clients a luxury experience each and every time. People have been there for 25 plus years. And then Compass later acquired them. In my previous life, I actually was in e-commerce and digital marketing for over 10 years. And if you like golf, follow golf at all, I worked for Pebble Beach Company and headed their e-commerce division for about 10 years. Those of you who have been there, I often joke and say, somebody had to do it, right? Because it's absolutely gorgeous. But just give you a little bit about me before we move forward. So like I said, today we're going to talk about 8 ways to generate new listings in a low inventory market. And we're just going to kind of jump into that. So one thing I want to bring up is a 90-day CMA. Some of you may have heard about this, but ultimately it's putting together 2 CMAs per day for 90 days and sending via different ways, right? I'm going to take a step back from this before I go in, because you might be saying, oh my gosh, this is a lot. I don't know if I can commit to that. This is what I would say. Find that sweet spot that is for you, because it's something, if you're going to be gung-ho and committed, and then you want to be able to do that, and you can do that for 2 CMAs, that's fine. But I am not here or want to push into a sense of failure or anything like that. So if you're going to be able to commit, I can do 3 or 4, boom, commit to that. That is what we want you to do, because I want people to succeed and be able to feel comfortable with that as well. And then maybe you can grow into that 2 CMAs for 90 days, right? But getting your foot in, getting that level of comfortability and making a commitment to it is the most important thing. So a few different ways to do that is I've worked with BombBomb before. This is a software that's actually a video software. You don't have to use this particular software, but it's an idea around it to where if you're not able to get in front of somebody physically, they're able to at least see your face, right? This creates more of a one-to-one than just maybe a simple phone call or just sending a simple email. A great way to target people with this is definitely past clients, connections, and of course, putting together a farm for yourself that would be directed specifically around this. So this would be maybe after a target market that you've identified, maybe the neighborhood that you're currently in, or if you're looking to spread out from there, is being strategic about it and where they have the most opportunity for a sale or maybe a life event. And I'll go into that a little bit as well. A great addition to do this, with addition to the video, is recording your screen of how you pulled it together, right? We definitely don't want to make it too long because there is like about a maybe 3 to 5 minute, and that's kind of it. And I would probably generally say if you could stay within the 3 to 4 minute range, even better. The one thing I'll call out and saying about if it's whether a video platform within your CRM or choosing to use a company called BombBomb, and it's BOMB, is that when you send a video, it actually shows your face and is not a link. I think people have been programmed like, okay, don't open the link, right? We don't want to take that away because we don't want people to open strange links in their emails, right? So, but if they're able to see your face, they recognize, hey, maybe might know that person. Or if you're targeting somebody, they know it's not a strange link that could be maybe malicious in any intent. You can also use these videos for text and email as well. So those are a couple different ideas. And then also sending a PDF along with it just kind of helps back it up in case people want to go to that reference point and be able to do that as well. You could also put an addition to where if you wanted people to download it, you could do that as well. And then you can collect their information further, and it will kind of let you know how interested they are. Also, I love the magic buyer, what I call seller letter. So if you have a neighborhood that you're prospecting to, maybe you've created that farm, is to personalize maybe a neighborhood letter to your buyers or prospective sellers. So what do I mean by that? Is really kind of what I like to think about it as is templatized personalization, right? A way to have your time more efficient, to where you've created a letter that's targeted to a buyer, that's targeted to a seller, that you know can deliver your value proposition, right? That you are direct and efficient in that communication and making it clear and very easy to understand. That's what's going to be a standout. But you can take a little bit of that information out and personalize it. So maybe you put in their name, maybe you make a reference to maybe the location of their home, but it's kind of a templatized personalization. So you're not starting from scratch, and it really helps with that time management. So if you've made a commitment to maybe do some of these things so many hours per day, you're really getting the maximum amount of time that you could possibly have over each thing that you're doing. And then, of course, following up maybe 2 weeks later with another letter, or if you happen to have their email or a phone call, that's a great way to do it as well. And then also, I would consider door knocking. It's something that is old school, but works. And those of you who've been in the industry for a while know exactly what I'm talking about. It was funny. I hate to admit it, but I was watching a real estate show on Netflix, right? And this gentleman door knocked at Pacific Palisades particular neighborhood, came across Ben Affleck, and got a listing that way. So I'm telling you, it definitely works. And I've heard it in non-star-studded events as well. Another way is leveraging technology. I think that this sometimes can be a little bit overwhelming to a certain extent, because there's always different types of leveraging, like technology that's being pushed out, right? But I think it's worth kind of just taking a step back and saying, okay, if I'm going to use some technology to help me, I want to make sure that that's really what it's doing, right? I want to make sure that it's accenting and giving me a leg up to where it's using my time as an efficient commodity and really helping propel my business. So a way to do this is maybe using something like, what would be like a likely seller to understand with these different areas. I think there's a question. I don't know if.
I see a hand, but
Yeah.
Jim, if you want to ask, you want me to save the questions for the end?
Yeah, that would be great, just so I can
Okay.
get through it. It's not
Okay.
super long, but if you want to, maybe we'll touch on the questions at the end if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay. So leveraging technology, likely maybe targeting that likely seller, right? Instead of sending things out to everybody, like if you have an open house or if you have a new listing, to go around and really understand, okay, who is the most likely to sell in this neighborhood, and actively go after those people, rather than, I kind of like taking away the concept of throwing spaghetti against the wall and having something that's more targeted and more time efficient for you as in your business. So these different technologies could be Smart Zip, could be Reevaluate, they could be different offers, HomeBot, Home IQ, and also actually if you're going to do door knocking, and if incorporate a walking farm app, right? Don't waste your time with going around and just, knocking on doors. They're not going to provide what I call a return on investment for you. So taking the time to do that in advance will be able to save you time, save you dollars, and let's face it, headache in the long run. If you want to create video creation, I touched on this a little bit, but being specific within those areas and targeting. So if you have maybe like a likely seller, maybe you're targeting people with a life event or something like that. Maybe it's a divorce, maybe it's a foreclosure, maybe it's a variety of different things. You could actually create a video within an email, or if you wanted to do something within a mailer, send it out, have a QR code on there, and have that video be accessible through the QR code. That way it gets you to that one step further or two steps further, because let's face it, to have that conversion, we're going through multiple steps to take that place. So if you can reduce that process, it really helps you create efficiency, but also creates efficiency for your clients as well. And what they're going to be noticing is, hey, this is something that stands out a little bit. If they're doing this just to get me as their client, then think about what they would do when listing my home, right? And then, of course, I am a proponent of AI to a certain degree, right? Because my belief is to help in aiding your business, help in brainstorming, helping you kind of like reduce that gap of time that you're spending on certain things, and mainly content. So utilizing that, I use ChatGPT almost every day. So if you're looking for like, hey, what do I say in a door knocking script? Like, what am I going to put on that? What am I going to put on my postcard? These are areas that really help quite a lot. And even if you're afraid to say, I'm like, I don't know if I really want to get in front of a video, right? But if I know what to say, I'm going to be so much more confident. And using a tool like ChatGPT or Jasper or something like that really kind of helps in that area. So I talked a little bit about life event marketing, but one way you can do this is through farming tools that have some of these things available. The other area is actually to kind of do what I call a hack. And you might want to call it a little light stalking, but this light stalking doesn't hurt anyone, right? So you can monitor social profiles for life events. Maybe there's a marriage going on, maybe there's a birth, and they're having a family, they're looking to maybe upsize their home, there's a death. And this can be done also with, caring and understanding and empathy, right? That maybe there's a divorce going on, maybe there's a job relocation. All these things create an opportunity for moving. And that, of course, creates an opportunity for, a new buy or a new sell situation. They say 80% of people are likely to move within 12 months after these events takes place. So being able to be upfront and introducing yourself and giving people options before that or while it's happening or shortly thereafter kind of really helps people plan and becomes more of like, hey, this person is trying to help me in partnership. And then therefore, as we know, once you have a client, it is a lot easier to market to that client and get referrals to that client rather than getting new ones and having those multiple steps for the initial return. So something else I like to kind of talk about is what I call, if you haven't heard of it, is the 10-4 rule. So breaking that down in one way is really anytime you're within 10 feet of a customer, making sure to make eye contact and smile, right? I think this is kind of a philosophy for life, because anytime you make somebody smile, it improves their day, right? And then when you're in 4 feet, greet them verbally, say hello, introduce yourself, say, even wave. I have a funny story. I lived in Georgia for 5 years. I'm originally from Northern California. I live in Florida now, but the first time I was in the South, I was with my husband at the time, and everybody was waving. I'm like, do you know them? He was said, no, honey, it's the South. Like everybody waves, right? And I just love that concept, and I loved being in that environment. And it just produces a different level of communication and style. So it's something that I just really strongly believe in. So also within that concept is to kind of create that daily goal, right? And I also, like I said at the beginning, is I definitely honestly just believe in having that commitment that works for you. So also thinking of what you put in is what also you get out of it. But if you're able to only do so many per day, then that's what you do. And then you build into maybe reaching out to 10 contacts, to targeting 10 contacts, to making that like, hey, I've said hello to 10 contacts today, right? Let's face it, some days you're not able to get out of the house. So whatever those moments are that you're able to get is to maximize those moments. Creating 10 database entries or updates. So what that means is if you're able to get somebody's business card, if you're able to get their contact information in a variety of ways, adding to that database for you, creating those contacts, and given the opportunity to create or write 10 handwritten notes. Maybe you're going to be doing 10 per week, right? But having that commitment for yourself to move forward in propelling your business in the way that you want it to go to meet your goals is the essential thing that we're working at here. And again, going back to the other portion of this is if you're having trouble with the handwritten cards, look up ChatGPT, right? And maybe it's something that you can say, hey, I want to say thank you, or like having an introduction, right? Maybe you can have different areas of how you're going to write that handwritten note card. And if you know that maybe a person is a texter rather than, I don't know if they're ever going to read their mail. And if you only have their text, then just text them exactly what you would have written in that handwritten note, right? You're still making that follow-up and you're still making that connection. For example, if you have an open house, this is maybe not necessarily the same as like the 10-4 rule to make connections when you're going out to specific areas that are maybe non-real estate related. But within maybe even an open house, is that having a process set up for when people come in and you meet and greet them, they put their information down, to immediately put them either in a database to where they have a drip process to go after them. Or if you don't have something like that, perfectly fine. You just set up a process to be like, hey, when I meet somebody, I'm going to immediately send them this text I already have pre-written or a video I already have done to follow up and say, thank you, it was fantastic meeting you. I appreciate your time you took to look at this. And please let me know if I can help you in any way. We have these different top listings in the area or something that they know that you're willing to take an action with them further, and then giving them the opportunity to either text back or to call you, right? But the 10 written notes do have an extra oomph because most people really like it and because it's a little bit different and they do notice those little things. And then another thing is preview even online, right? At least 4 new teams, brokerage, or farm listings. So that way you know that you're always in the know about what's going on in your market. You know what's going on with different listings and what have come to market, right? So this is something that you are always available to talk on and share information on as well. And then also financing expert co-marketing. So I love this. I love any opportunity where you have to partner with people, right? Because that opportunity gives you 2 times the amount of audience than what you would normally have. And a few just different topics that you could use is maybe talking about rate buy downs, seller equity positions, seller financing, new build financing. And because I found too, it's like, for example, in my area, there are certain things within this small city that I live in certain neighborhoods where you can get down payment assistance because of those particular neighborhoods, right? When you're dealing with maybe first-time home buyers or you're dealing with people that have come into the area, maybe we have a lot of people that are moving into Florida, right? A lot of people don't know this information. They don't know certain things. I mean, even to the extent of we have a thing where you can take your money from a public school and move it to a private school, and you don't have to qualify for any income restrictions. That is huge to be able to have that and be able to communicate that out to potential clientele. So you being that go-to person to have that particular knowledge is essential. So never be afraid to communicate that out. Put it in your newsletters, put it in any videos that you're doing, any social media, anything like that, to make sure that people are aware of what's going on. And then other topics are maybe assumable mortgages, explain the risks, things like that. One particular event that I went to that was just wonderful was a construction loan event, and kind of explaining that to real estate agents, because in my particular area, we have a lot of older homes, right? And since the market is so limited on housing, how do you actually go through with this? How do you position that as a real estate agent to go after people? How do you explain what the process is? And there were probably 50 people in there, and all of these agents were asking questions. And I'm like, I even have questions, right? Can I do this for myself? So those little things that by taking the restrictions maybe in your areas and using that as an opportunity that makes you stand out is something that's key. So with that, I put on here, there was also Google Business Profile and local ads, right? So with that, if you do not have a Google Business Profile, I definitely recommend creating one. And why? So what this does is when people look up a realtor within their area, it's kind of like a geotag concept to where they're going to list all of the things, especially, I mean, how many people use maps, right? We all use maps. And if you're looking for something even in your maps or in your Google search, they're going to be bringing up the most local people. And the more things that you have on there, like your reviews, like photos, like information about your business, the different things that you have in you service that you're able to provide, that's more information and content that Google just loves and soaks up and is willing to pass on to the people that are searching, right? So if you can leverage Google Ads, that's fantastic. This is a great way to use as a branding exercise. What I would recommend is either using it for listings, right? And targeting areas that you know maybe people are within the area that you're in, but also in areas that they're coming from. So if you have people moving out from the area, what states are they coming in? From what areas are they coming in? But also within local ads is to be able to provide that information. But once they click on the ad, is you want to make sure that you're giving them the direction on what to do and what action to take, right? So you don't want to miss that lead that you would be paying for. So maybe that's, a landing page that has something on, the different things that you're looking for to sell a home or what's going on with the market, or come and see the top listings that are under $400,000 within your market, right? Something that's particular and that's targeted. And then with any interaction or especially with any transaction, is to be able to ask for reviews and respond always. Now, I would say this, responding positively is key, right? And white gloving that handling situation for any negative reviews. But ultimately, just letting people know, hey, I'm paying attention, right? You can call me, I'm going to answer the phone, I'm paying attention to my reviews. It goes a really long ways. And then the other thing is to, if you have your Google Business Profile set up, is to what we call your geotagging photos in your target area. So this is great because what this does is it helps with your Google search. And when people are looking up, the realtor in your area, you have more presence and they'll bring up more returns, and it's based on your information. So that's exactly what we want. I do have the step-by-step in this as well. I will send you guys over this deck. So if you want to go back and utilize those directions, you can. Of course, another area is FSBO expired and canceled. I think, we know this, but I think is how we're using it is key. So one is that the low hanging fruit. So 90% of all FSBOs end up selling with an agent. I mean, it's like, I even see it in my neighborhood all the time, right? I'm like, okay, let's look at this one and see how long it takes. But ultimately, this is very apparent. So in the way I think that when talking and working with other agents is finding that process that really works for you. So maybe it's what I would call it is like, again, the templatized personalization, right? Of having a process that you're either calling, you're targeting them maybe with a mailer with that QR code in a video. You're following up with an email, you're calling again, but whatever process that you have that maybe it's, hey, it's an email, hey, it's a postcard, hey, it's a follow-up call, hey, it's doing this to those particular FSBOs. But making sure that what you're offering is one, very clear, easy to understand. The value is up in front and ready to go. And then offering exactly what you can do and giving a generalized timeline of how quickly it can be done, right? Because a lot of the people with FSBOs may feel at a certain time, hey, I've had this on the market for so long. I just want to get rid of it, right? I just want to be done with it. They probably have a headache at some point. So speaking to that is key as well. Expired and canceled, needing maybe like just a new strategy, maybe targeting a few of those, going back and looking what was done. Maybe you could see, either on the MLS or what, channels it was on. What do the pictures look like? Sometimes it's as easy as that. And you can tell between the price point and the pictures, and there's no video, there's no floor plan, there's nothing. And just walking into the situation, knowing those things lets people know that you've already done a little bit of homework and being able to communicate that value, being able to communicate that plan effectively and clearly as well. Considering door knocking to those, maybe instead of cold calls, it providing an honest feedback. Of course, white glove, that honest feedback, right? And then maybe even adding that into your CMA lists, right? Maybe you have so many that you're going to do for SFBOs. And if you're creating that personalized template as being personalized templatized, right? That way you can be more efficient and get through those CMAs on a very quickly but effective basis as well. And then, of course, the bonus suggestion also is, of course, leveraging brokerage listings to sit and open houses. This is kind of huge. I love that if you have the opportunity to do this, definitely do it. Market to open houses to buyers, but also potential sellers in the neighborhood. This is what I would hold as a caveat, is that I do know that some people in the list and on the listing side, they don't necessarily want you to market their listings. So I would just make sure to get permission that if you're going to use any of the images or anything like that, that it's okay with them. But knowing that if there's a lot of action and a lot of transactions going in a certain area, or you're starting to see a lift, whether it's in your own brokerage or not, being aware of that. And actually going back to one of the other slides is by looking and seeing what's going on in the market and new listings and changes on a daily basis, you're going to know this right away. You can even create a simple spreadsheet to say, okay, what's going on within these particular neighborhoods? Maybe you run it by zip code. Maybe if you have an area that has particular named neighborhoods, then you can do it that way as well. And then you can optimize your time to go and door knock. Then you can optimize your time to send out flyers or connect with people. And again, just to have that clear, concise information to be able to provide to those potential clients as well. So I know it's a lot of information, but hopefully you've gotten some good ideas and are ready to go out and start applying those. I know we had maybe a few questions. I'd be happy to answer those.
Yeah, Jim, if you want to ask your question, I think I can unmute you.
Yeah, I think you can.
I don't know, maybe.
Oh, you can ask to unmute him, I think.
Yeah, I did. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe he's not there. Jim, if you want to ask, feel free to jump in. But if anybody else has questions, I actually didn't look at the chat at all. But I mean, I guess I have a question. You mentioned door knocking quite a few times. I mean, are you finding people are doing that a lot to get listings?
I have found that more people are doing it now.
Yeah.
And to where it used to be so, I think COVID kind of took that out for a long time, and people were very apprehensive to do it. But I know agents that have built their business on it. And
Right.
so, but what I would say is this, is that like, I'm a big believer of, like I said, time is a commodity, right? And you want to be able to use that as efficiently as possible. So understanding where they have a higher propensity in the neighborhoods that you're looking to work in is to targeting those too, right? The ones that maybe even if they have more equity in their home, they've been in the house for maybe 15 years plus, or just if you're able to look at the turnover rate of certain neighborhoods, right? I think it's like maybe if it's 6% or higher, then it has a higher, that's probably a market that you're going to want to be working in, right? So just knowing that information going in will help you have a higher level of return on your time and dollars spent. And that would be, the money that you're spending on printing out things, that you're doing
Right.
these things and come on, and time itself as well. But
Okay.
yeah, I definitely think that door knocking is absolutely worth it. And what I would recommend is, you having a door knocker and you have information on there. I really do feel that if you have the opportunity to put maybe a QR code on there, because you can take, the opportunity that people are so much more comfortable with QR codes now, and connect it to a video, connect it to something that put you in front of that potential client as a person yourself, so they can create a know, like, trust factor and stepping into that. And that creates an emotional connection and creates, you're looking for that sense of loyalty to where people are able to say, hey, I identify with this person. This is a huge transaction. I want to feel comfortable with somebody. And now these are these steps already getting to that point as well.
Right. Yeah. I like the idea of QR code to a video. I don't think I've seen that that often, but cool. But thank you. I don't think there's really any other questions. I have the recording, so I'll pass that around to everybody. And I hope you got some good takeaways. So you guys have a good day.
All right. Thanks,
All
everyone.
right.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.